Grandpa Dickie and Jackie had moved into a new house. And they hadn't moved in yet. They were getting ready to move in. And Grandpa Dickie was painting. And I was working on Saturdays then. And so he called and asked me if I would please come over and help him because he had this injured animal. So I get there, and he has in a shoebox a baby squirrel that has fallen out of a tree, or the neighbor's cat got it, or something horrible happened, and its back was broken. We get it home, and I get it home, and we put it in a box or an aquarium or something, and we decide that we needed to go get a water bottle, and we needed to figure out what, the store sold squirrel food. We didn't know what. So we went to the store and we get it. No, before we do that, before we go to the store to buy all this food and paraphernalia, Dad has one work glove, and he puts that one work glove on his right hand. His left hand has nothing on it. And he goes to pick up the squirrel. Well, the squirrel suddenly found its strength, crawled up his arm, and bit him. And so he takes his left hand and pushes the thing into the aquarium, and off we go to the store. And we come back, and the squirrel's dead. So we were in the process of getting ready to move to Baltimore. So the living room was piled high with packed boxes, and at the time we had 3 cats, 5 cats, 25 cats. I don't know. We had a lot of cats. And the cats would sit on top of all the boxes. So we call the police to find out what to do. And it's taking a really, really long time for the police to get there. So anyway, the cop comes in, and the only single chair in the living room was this very narrow rocking chair. So he sits in the rocking chair, and all the stuff on his holster goes flipping up. So he's sitting there with his gun holster flipped up, and his radio, and whatever in the world it is else that they... Anyway, so he and Dad are, writing down the report together, and neither of them can figure out how to spell squirrel. So at that point, I interjected. So then he tells us what happened before he came into the apartment. And he said that there were 2 things that happened simultaneously. There were 2 calls that came at the same time. One was our call about the rabid squirrel that was dead. Yeah, possible baby squirrel that was dead, had bitten a human being, possibility of rabies. And the other was some guy who was drunk who was lying in the middle of the road. So the cop gets there first, and he finds the drunk, and he waits for the EMTs to arrive. And the EMTs arrive, and they look at the drunk, not realizing that he's drunk, and they say, God, he sure got bit up, thinking he was bitten by the squirrel. So the cop leaves, and we're told to go to University of Maryland, which was 10 minutes away from where we lived. And we go there, and we knock forever on this door to some lab. And the guy who comes and answers the door was straight out of an old grade B horror movie. He was huge. And he had this time clock thing on his belt. Do you remember that? Or am I making that up? You don't. I'm making that up. Okay. Well, in my version
time
of
traveler.
the story, well, no, it was like
Was it a flux capacitor?
No, it was like he had to, punch in when he went to the different rounds throughout all the buildings. So anyway, so we left the carcass of the squirrel with him, so that they could test it, because the lab would test it for rabies, and then they called you back. What, a week later or something? And
a week or 2. I don't know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and he didn't have the rat. Fortunately, the squirrel did not have rabies, so it was not a rabid squirrel. But it was a story that kept on giving.
Yeah.